Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we'll be learning about how to convert from one file format to the other. So the first part of this tutorial, we'll be looking at how to convert from a shapefile to other file formats like the KML format, like the CSV format, like the GeoJSON format, and others. And in the part 2, we'll be learning about how to import CSV into your QGIS interface and how to then convert your CSV to your shapefile. But before we start, the link to all datasets used in this tutorial can be found in the description below. Make sure you download them if you want to follow exactly what I'm doing. But if you have your own dataset that you want to use, you can go ahead and use them. In this part of the video, we'll be importing our shapefile to our interface, and then we'll be converting it from a shapefile to a different file format. So how do we import our shapefile to our interface? Since it's a shapefile, it means we are dealing with a vector layer. Okay, so we'll go to our layer toolbar. We'll then go to add layer, right? You have add vector layer, you have add raster layer. But since we are dealing with vector layer, we'll go to add vector layer. We'll click on add vector layer. So you click here, and then you navigate to where exactly you downloaded your dataset to, and then you click open, right? I've already done that. So after you are done with that, you come and then you click add. Now add the dataset to add the shapefile to your map interface. The reason why we want to convert from a shapefile to a different format is because we want the data contained in this shapefile we are seeing right now. What QGIS does is that it gives us a graphical representation of our data, right? But we want the raw data for something, right? So how do we check what our data is? So in order to check what your data is, you can right click on your district layer. You then go to open attribute table, and then you see your data, right? You see the data contained in the image here, right? So an example will be if I were to highlight number 3, right? If I were to highlight number 3, that is this area. You have the parameter, you have the cover distance, you have the district name, the capital name, the region name, and whatnot, the population and all that. So we have all this data in our disposal, right? We want to use this data in a different project, right? So how do we then convert from this to a data set, a data format that we want to use? So you right click on your district layer, you go to export, then you go to save as, save feature as, go to save feature as, and then here, when converted from shapefile to a different format, how do we? So we go here, you have the CSV, you have the GeoJSON, you have the KML. Where's the KML? KML, if you want to open your data on Google Earth, so you use KML, right? So in our case, we'll be going for CSV, right? So click CSV, and then here they're asking you where exactly you want to save your file. You see, I've already done mine. So I saved it as this district. So you can come here and then you can write districts CSV, right? District CSV. And then you click save. Here, what you can do here is that you can untick the fields that you are not interested in, right? So if maybe you're not interested in the cover distance or this or the district name, you can then untick them. But in our case, we'll leave them as they are. Then you click OK. When you click on OK, you have layer exported successfully. When we go to where exactly we stored our file, we'll see district CSV. See district CSV. If we click on district CSV, click on read only, and then we have our data, right? We have all our data here. That will be it for part 1 for this tutorial. If I have a CSV file, right, and I want to convert that CSV into a shapefile, how do I go about doing that? So you have to understand that by default, QGIS has a way to read CSV files, right? If you want to read it in the default Excel format, that's the XLSX, you have to download a plugin for that. So in my case, I do have a plugin that I have downloaded, but you wouldn't need that. If you want to import a CSV into QGIS, where you have to go is that we go to layers again, we go to add layer, and in this case we are adding the delimited text layer, right? Delimited text layer, that's the CSV, the delimited text layer. So you click on delimited text layer, you go to where exactly your file is located. So in my case, I named it test CSV. So you click on test CSV, you open, right? So in the file format, when we open, you realize that CSV has been ticked. In the record and fields option, we leave it as it is. We don't touch that one. The geometry definition, we have the point coordinates selected, right? In some cases, you would want to import a CSV whereby it doesn't have a coordinate. So in that case, you use no geometry. But in our case, we'll be going with point coordinates. So in a point coordinate, you realize that because we named our CSV latitude and longitude, if we open our CSV, you realize that this is how we named it, right? You have the ID, you have the latitude and longitude, right? And what the cool thing QGIS does is that it looks in the field for latitude and longitude, and if it finds latitude and longitude or easterns and northerns, it then automatically attributes it to the X and Y field. So most of the time you have to be, if you want to import your CSV to QGIS, in order to make your job simple for you, you have to name them properly, right? The latitude and longitude, you have to name them properly. That way QGIS does the work for you. With the geometry, coordinate reference system, in my case, this coordinate reference system is in the WGS84. So you have to be sure of the coordinate system of the coordinates that you have. You need to be sure what the coordinate system is, because if you don't do that, you get a different result. So click add to add the CSV to our QGIS interface. You have to make sure that your CRS is always in line with the coordinates. The CRS has to always be the correct CRS unless you get a different result. So we then close our, and then let's turn this off. I'll just zoom to layer. So we have our coordinates, but this is in the CSV. So after we have loaded our test CSV, we want to now convert the CSV to the SH to SHP. That's our shapefile. Since we have now loaded our test CSV, we have to then convert it to our shapefile, right? Now, doing that is very simple because we've already done it in the part one. The processes are the same. So you just right click, you go to export, you go to save features, and then you have it on CSV. You get it shapefile, you change the name. So the name will be test, and then you save. You have to make sure the CRS is in the CRS that you want, right? This is always important. Then press OK. We've converted our CSV to our shapefile. So we have to go back to our district. What I'll do is I'll just turn this off, and then right click and zoom to layer. Good. So what if I don't want to export every single thing here to a different shapefile? What if I just want particular areas, right? Particular areas. How do I do that, right? The one way of doing it is here. You come to this. It's called select features, right? I'll click on select features, and then I'll click on the features that I want data. So if I want to click more than one, you control and then you click, right? So I want features for this. Good. So now I've gotten these features for this. You go to districts, right? Go to districts and then export this as save selected features, right? So go to export, go to save selected features. When you go to save selected features, we then go here, and then we do it parts. So do parts of this threat. Okay, and then we save, and then okay. Now when I turn this off, you realize that we just have only this ones. When I go to our open attribute table, you see we just have the data for the image selected, right? So we can choose to. So in our case, we didn't change. In this case, we didn't change the format. We just left it in shapefile, right? Because maybe we just wanted to extract those parts from the entire vector image, but we could have just equally converted it to CSV or whatever format system that we learned in this lesson. Okay, so that will be all for these tutorials. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time. Bye.